welcome back. March is considered a month for women, and especially it is considered an Egyptian women month. March 16 coincide with the anniversary of the first female demonstration by Huda Sha'rawi to protest the British occupation in Egypt. This year witnesses a remarkable period in Egypt life as the world is witnessing also the presidential elections in Egypt, marathon in general. To know more about the importance of the month of March for women, we are joined by Dr. Khadiga Tawfiq, an international law and human rights expert. Hello, doctor, and welcome to our show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Dr. Khadiga, the 8th of March marked the Women's International Day. And of course, as my colleague Gina mentioned, the 16th of March is the Egyptian Women's Day. And then we will be celebrating on the 21st of March the Mother's Day. Now, when it comes to women, and I'd like to talk more about the United Nations theme, because this year the theme was Ruler Women. So, how do you see that theme, and what do we, or does the ruler women, not just in Egypt but in the Arab world, needs?
They need a lot, not only rural women, but all kind of women.
Yes.
And definitely not one day to celebrate, not even a month. Women in the Arab world are still needing the full attention of the international community, of every single government, of all actors, whether civil society or others, because they are lacking still their rights, their human rights. It's still not there. And definitely rural women are among the women who are least served by us all.
Dr. Khadiga, as a Tunisian, tell us about the status of women in Tunisia, and did they take all the rights, or are there still they need more?
In Tunisia, thanks to President Bourguiba, our first president, women got 95% of all their human rights since 1956. Long time ago, 60 years ago, we got almost everything. We were missing only the equality for inheritance. And this is what we are having now in Tunisia since this August, because we are celebrating our Women's Day in 13th of August. This is the date of the promulgation of our family code, our Code du Statut Personnel. And that day we started a discussion among scholars about how to make sure that we interpret holy text so that women will benefit from, will be equal when it comes to inheritance. So if we succeed to have this by May, then we would have had our 100% rights.
Now, as a Tunisian living in Egypt, usually in Egypt when we talk about the ruler women, it's a big issue because we talk about ladies in the countryside who sometimes the girls are pulled out of school at a young age. So what do we need to do to help ruler women and girls in particular?
We need to give them the choice, all the choices, and they cannot do it if they are not offered the same rights, such as right to education, all education, right to information. They need to be empowered, and we need to stand by those families because they don't pull out their girls just like this. They do it because of poverty, because they think it's better to have them married, because of so many reasons. So if we don't do the extra effort by offering the same rights for those women and those girls as the ones who have the privilege of living in cities, then we cannot really help them out, and this will continue for many years to come.
Why, Dr. Khadiga, until this moment, and it's been ages past, and we're still talking about women should take their rights and women should fight for their rights, and until now women did not take all the rights?
Because we are still not making a difference when it comes to tackling the patriarchal system. We are still scared, we are still afraid, we are still afraid of this culture that is mixed with religion. We are still not having the right interpretation of religion. Both men and women really don't believe in equality between men and women, don't believe in the fact that human rights are universal. They are still thinking that it's something coming from outside, that other civilizations deserve those equality and rights and not us. There is a huge misunderstanding, and again, it's about also women perpetuating this inequality, because deep inside them they still believe they don't deserve to be equal and to have the same rights, so they would believe any type of interpretation
but
of
religion is clear, and it came to set the rules for men and for women, but until this moment we're not applying the right rules of religion in our community.
And this is the issue. If we don't work with essentially women scholars of religion, because the interpretation we have so far is done by men. And guess what? Men, of course, they will interpret for their, it will be about their rights. They will never do the interpretation in favor of women. So we need now our PhDs, women who are scholars and understand religion, to give us really the real meaning of the text and to tell us, frankly speaking, every single thing, what is in the religion. Because the issue that really scares me is that even educated women don't go and open the book, the holy text, to read exactly what is inside. They believe what the men told them, but they never had that courage, even though the first verses says Iqra. So it's a call to science, a call to knowledge, but they are not doing it. They are not. They are just believing whoever is telling them anything.
Dr. Khadiga, what about the role of the NGOs and civil society in promoting women's status and empowerment of women? What can we do?
Civil society has a huge role to play, because they complement the role of the government. They are not competing with the government, but complementing. What NGOs can do, governments cannot. So it's very, very important, if we want to succeed in a country, to have this solidarity and synergy between what the government is doing and what the civil society is doing, because they have the opportunity to go to that rural areas and to have many, many organizations and answering the real needs of those women. So this is why their role is extremely important, in partnership, of course, with international organizations, with bilaterals, with everybody.
Dr. Khadiga, of course, you've traveled a lot in many different Arab countries, and of course you've realized that especially in the villages and in the rural areas, the rights of women are totally absent. The woman there is working and the man is staying at home. The woman there is taking the whole responsibility, and the man is just taking her money. So what's the reason behind this, especially in the rural and areas? And is it culture or what?
It's everything, definitely. Culture. In culture we have education, we have information, we have religion, we have tradition, we have all of that. And these are spaces where people don't want to go, don't want to tackle. We prefer each time talking about modifying the laws, having strategy, having beautiful national programs. But in fact, what really makes a difference is the work with religious leaders, with traditional leaders, with civil society that is there, so that we change the culture. Because we should be proud of our culture, of the good things, but we should definitely get rid of the bad things, such as female genital mutilation or early marriage. We are still accepting that our girls are getting married, even if they are 10 or 12 or 15. So all of that, we should to have, this is what we are lacking, that courage to go and say, yes, I'm proud of my culture, but anything that is violating the rights of women, I'm not proud of, I'm going to stop it. To take a stand. We still don't have women and men, enough of them, a critical mass of them saying that and just doing it and implementing that. And what we are lacking most also is the solidarity between women. Actually, when women in Tunisia are demonstrating for their equality, we should have all women in the Arab region fighting for them. We should have all women behind the Syrian women, behind the Palestinian, behind the Yemenite who is being killed now, behind the Libyan. We have really to have that type of solidarity, which will then help us all as women really to have our rights.
Doctor, as an international law as well as human rights expert, and you've been a counselor for many corporates, many firms, and of course many also civil society organizations, including the United Nations itself. Which is the most crucial issue that you faced during your various, let's say, trips and challenges that you'd like to share with us?
It is the fact that we are still unable to understand that human rights, women's rights, are universal and they are indivisible. And it's not about some culture being able to have the rights and not the others. It's to understand that it's universal, and we should all deserve, after these 70 years of presence of the United Nations and of all the government, our independence, that it's about time that a society where we don't have equality between men and women is definitely a society that can never be developed. A society that is unable to divide between the politics and the religion will never get developed. These are crucial and very important steps that we need to take, that other countries took. And it's the only way to preserve, to protect religion. Your freedom of religion can only be protected in a secular system where there is this clear division and where it is the law which is running and based on those equality, on the same values that we share in all religion, as a matter of fact, not one specifically. So this is what we are still lacking almost everywhere.
Dr. Khadiga, what are the most worst cases of women abuse that you've faced during your experience and traveling, and things that made you to fight more for women's rights?
Fight more, I don't think that more than that, because I've been in the last 30 years into that, believing in that. But having been in Baghdad 2 months ago and seeing that women, beyond the killing and beyond the rape, women have been sold. I think this is so shameful for all of us. Collectively, how could we have accepted that ISIS, that fundamentalists, that the extremists, that in the name of religion, in the name of God, we came back and we are selling our women? I think that this, reaching that point of, I don't even find words to describe what we've been, is definitely something horrible. But also, again, what Syrian women, and I know so many Syrians, what the Yemeni, what all our women in our region are facing, is really something that definitely I cannot even put what is horrible more. Everything. A girl that is still seeing her genital cuts because of the misunderstanding of the tradition, because it has nothing to do with religion, continuing to do it, that mothers are continuing, who are well educated, to do it, it's a torture. These are the examples of things I cannot accept, definitely.
Doctor, right now Egypt has started its presidential elections. We have already done the expatriates elections, and we're waiting for the domestic ones. And now, what about your evaluation of it from your field of expertise and what you've observed so far?
Personally, in general, political participation of women should not be based on any type of quota. We should elect women because they are the most competent. They are the ones who can provide the best and really would help and advocate for women's rights. I know women who are sitting in parliament who are against women. So what is the point in having them? I would speak only about Tunisia. I'm not talking about another country. Having women from the political Islam party in my country being against women's rights and sitting in parliament or at the ministry level, what is the point? So what we need are women who are fighting for women's rights and being everywhere at the president level if need be. And rather than waiting for a society to force them to have those quota, I know that we did it because we didn't have another choice. We did it because men and women are unable to understand that women deserve the same way as men to be elected and to elect. But we need to move. This is the cultural shift that we are still missing and that we are still not making any difference.
So, speaking generally, what are your hopes for the future for women?
I hope that women will definitely get out of the mental slavery they are in. To see in my own country a demonstration 1 week ago of women going into the street and saying that we are not equal, what a shame. In Tunisia, what a shame. In my country, I'm not proud of that. This is what mental slavery is about, to think that we are not equal. So definitely my hope would be that the other women would work and we continue fighting alongside with men, because it's about women and men. It's not women alone. It's about families. It's about having the most beautiful country where people will strive for happiness and equality and compassion and all of that, that finally we reach that. And that in the Arab region we stop the killing. We stop killing our children and our women and men, and we stop, and definitely we bring prosperity. We keep on our promises because we did promise so many things, we as in collectively, and we are still not there. So let's hope that really we do deliver for the next generations, countries and region they would be proud to belong to.
Doctor, from your field of expertise, to what extent are women participating in elections in terms of casting their votes and going to the polls, whether to vote for a parliamentary candidate or a presidential candidate? And to what extent would it vary from one country to another in the Arab world as you visited different countries and from your field of expertise?
You know what? One day I was in a country. I wouldn't tell you which country, but then I was speaking with a woman, and they told her, why did you elect that precise member of parliament? You know very well that he is really against women's rights, and the person is really horrible. And she told me he belongs to my tribe. So if we are still having people electing other people, whether they are women or men, electing the wrong people, then I don't believe in all of that. You know what? You have an extraordinary philosopher in Egypt, Dr. Murad Wahba. I just love this person because I think he's extraordinary. He said that democracy is not the election, it's not about vote, and this is what we are missing. Democracy has 4 components, and we are not talking about really the Renaissance. We are not talking about a new social contract. We are not talking about laicity, secularism. So now we are mistaken. We think that democracy is voting for this or that. This is not what it's about. So let's come back to the true definition, and let's really have democratic countries, because we are still not there.
Well, Dr. Khadiga Tawfiq, international law and human rights experts, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and happy Women's Day. And by this, we come to the end of this segment, but we still have more on Nile Cruise, so stay with us.
اتفقنا واختلفنا كلنا لنا حق